Somebody broke into my home. Somebody broke into my home and shot my wife.
Are they still in there?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, what's the address?
Tipp City, Ohio. Please hurry. Please hurry.
What are you seeing?
My wife she's got 2 shots to her head. There's blood everywhere. Oh my God. Sir, please.
At 2:31 in the morning, a man called 911 screaming that someone had broken into his home and shot his wife twice in the head. His 2 little daughters were asleep down the hall. His wife was already gone. And when police arrived, they found shell casings near the foot of the bed, a garage door wide open, and what looked like a violent, chaotic home invasion. Except nothing about it felt right. Within 82 hours, the narrative collapsed. The man who made that frantic call, the church worship leader, the American Idol contestant, the husband who once said on national television that he loved his wife more than anything in the world, was sitting in handcuffs, charged with her murder. This is the story of Ashley Flynn, a woman who gave everything to the people around her. A woman whose husband allegedly put a 9mm bullet in her head while their daughters slept feet away, then picked up the phone and cried for help that was never coming. Stay with me, 'cause this one goes deeper than you think. And before we go any further, if stories like Ashley's matter to you, if you believe the truth deserves to be heard, please take 5 seconds right now. Like this video, subscribe to 3AM Files, hit that bell icon. Every single click tells the algorithm that real stories about real people are worth amplifying. Ashley's daughters exist in this world. Her family is watching. The least we can do is make sure her story is told. Thank you. Now let's get into it. Ashley Flynn was 37 years old when she died. She was a substitute teacher, a former elementary school educator, a 7th grade volleyball coach. By every account from people who knew her, she was one of those rare people who genuinely lit up every room she walked into. She was deeply embedded in her faith community at Christian Life Center, a church in Butler Township, Ohio, near the small town of Tipp City, the kind of tight-knit Sunday morning community where everyone knows everyone, where trust is the foundation of everything. She was also a mother. 2 young daughters, elementary school aged. Little girls who were asleep in their bedrooms at 2:30 in the morning when, allegedly, their father walked into the master bedroom and shot their mother twice in the head. Think about that for a second. Ashley's world was her family, her students, her faith, and her church. She wasn't living a reckless life. She wasn't caught up in anything dangerous. She was, by every outward appearance, a woman building something beautiful. A home, a community, a life. And that's what makes what happened to her so profoundly disturbing. Because the danger wasn't coming from outside. If the prosecution is right, it was sleeping next to her every single night. Now let's talk about Caleb Flynn. Because understanding him is essential to understanding this case. Caleb was 39. He had a magnetic, charismatic presence, the kind that's almost designed for stages and spotlights. In 2013, he auditioned for season 12 of American Idol. During a hometown interview segment, he looked directly into the camera and said, "And I want you to really hear this. I absolutely love the Lord. I love my wife more than anything. She is very, very pretty. I love her."
American Idol Road to Hollywood interview from 2013, Caleb said music is all I know, and that he'd been encouraged to audition by his wife.
I love my wife more than anything. She is very, very pretty. Just, I love her.
He was charming. He was passionate. He was everything a church community wants in a worship leader. And that's precisely what he became. He served as a worship director at Free Chapel Church in Spartanburg, South Carolina for years before eventually transitioning into sales and planting himself back in the Ohio community where he and Ashley were raising their family. He was still performing worship music. Still on stage at their church, Christian Life Center. Still singing about love and faith and devotion. But here's where the cracks start to appear. And I need you to pay attention because this is where human behavior gets complicated and uncomfortable. There are people who perform goodness, who wear faith and family values like a costume, because it earns them trust, admiration, and access. And when that costume starts to slip, when the private life diverges wildly from the public image, The psychological pressure that builds can become explosive. Now, I am not diagnosing Caleb Flynn. He has pleaded not guilty. He deserves due process. But we can look at the behavior and we can ask serious questions. Because something was happening inside that house that the neighbors, the congregation, and the school community didn't see. And the evidence police gathered in less than 4 days suggests it had been building for a while. Here is what investigators say they found. When police arrived at the Flynn home on Cunningham Court in the early hours of February 16, 2026, the scene was set up to look like a home invasion. Garage door wide open. Signs of forced entry. A story about an intruder getting in through the side door of the garage. Caleb told police his 9mm handgun had been in the center console of his Ford truck, and it was gone. Classic staging. Classic deflection. But then investigators looked at the side door of the garage that the supposed intruder had supposedly used to enter. And they found something that quietly demolished the entire story. In front of that door was a large refrigerator. One that, according to the affidavit, would have had to be physically moved to open that door from the outside. No evidence it had been moved. No signs of anyone forcing their way through. Just a refrigerator sitting exactly where it always sat, quietly exposing the lie. The shell casings at the foot of the bed. The position of Ashley's body. The layout of the home. None of it aligned with a panicked intruder and a struggle. It aligned with something deliberate. Something planned. And then investigators found the phone records. At 12:42 in the morning, less than 2 hours before Caleb dialed 911, there is an alleged text message sent to an unidentified woman. 3 words. Short. Clinical. Chilling. It's almost done. We need to be careful here. This text has not been officially confirmed by authorities in a public court filing. It is circulating from alleged leaked documents, and it has not been verified independently. But if it is real, if those 3 words are real, then what we are looking at is not a crime of passion. Not a spontaneous explosion of rage. What we are looking at is allegedly premeditated, planned, executed while 2 little girls slept down the hallway. And the woman on the other end of that message. Social media and unverified reports have pointed toward a 23-year-old woman described as a worship leader at the same church where Caleb served. Someone who sang beside him on stage. Someone embedded in the same faith community where Ashley worshipped every Sunday. Someone whose identity has not been officially confirmed by police as part of this investigation. So I will not name her here. Because until authorities confirm it, it remains a theory. But here is what is not a theory. Investigators have confirmed that in the hours leading up to Ashley's death, there was heavy, significant communication between Caleb Flynn and a woman. Communication that escalated. Communication that, according to investigators, paints a very specific picture of what was allegedly happening in that marriage and in that mind. There are also unconfirmed reports, again treated carefully here as possibilities, suggesting that Ashley may have been aware something was wrong. That she may have confided in someone that she was struggling. That she may have sent a message in the days before her death that hinted at how unbearable things had become for her. We don't know the full extent of what Ashley knew or suspected. But if she had begun to see the cracks in her marriage, if she had begun to ask questions, that makes what allegedly happened to her even more devastating. 'Cause she was not passive. She was aware. She was a woman who cared deeply, who was engaged with the world around her, and who deserved the chance to walk away and build a different life. She never got that chance. Now I want you to sit with a psychological picture here for a moment, because this is where the case becomes genuinely haunting from a behavioral standpoint. If the prosecution's theory is correct, if Caleb Flynn truly planned this, staged it and sent that text, what kind of cognitive state produces that? We know from research on intimate partner homicides that a significant proportion are committed by people who feel cornered. Not cornered by their victims, but cornered by the consequences of their own choices. Affairs discovered. Double lives unraveling. The fear of losing reputation, income, custody, community standing. In environments where public image is everything, And a church worship community is exactly that kind of environment. The psychological stakes of exposure can become, for certain individuals, something they believe is existential. That is not a justification. It is a pattern. And recognizing the pattern matters, because it shows up again and again in cases like this. Caleb Flynn stood at his arraignment and said, "I just want to take care of my daughters. I'm not a risk." His attorney called the investigation a rush to judgment. He pleaded not guilty. Ashley's family said something different. They said, "After speaking with both local police and federal authorities, we trust the proper steps were taken." They said they believe the arrest was made carefully, and not without serious consideration. Ashley's own family, the people who loved her most, put their faith in the evidence. The FBI was involved. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. The Miami County Prosecutor's Office. This was not a rushed small-town case. This was a complex, multi-agency investigation that moved fast because the evidence moved fast. Ashley Flynn deserved more than what allegedly happened to her. She deserved to grow old watching her daughters play volleyball and graduate and fall in love. She deserved honesty even if that honesty hurt. She deserved the chance to rebuild whatever her life needed to become. Instead, she allegedly died in her own bed, in her own home, while her children slept nearby and the man she had spent 16 years beside allegedly stood over her with a gun. So here is what I want you to think about. And I genuinely want your perspective in the comments. How does someone compartmentalize that? How does a person sing worship music on a Sunday morning and then allegedly plan to take a life by Monday? Is it a slow erosion of empathy? A person who was always capable of this, hidden behind the right performance? Or does desperation, the terror of exposure, the unraveling of a carefully constructed identity, push someone across a line they never consciously intended to cross? And what does it say about the communities we build, that someone can stand at a pulpit, look out at trusting faces, and carry something like this in silence? Tell me what you think. Drop your theory in the comments. Do you believe this was premeditated? Do you think Ashley suspected what was coming? And what does this case make you think about the people closest to you? And how well we ever really know them? This case is still unfolding. The preliminary hearing has just been scheduled. Evidence has not been fully disclosed. More will come. And when it does, 3 a.m. Files will be here to walk through every detail with you. If you are new here, welcome to the hour when the world sleeps and secrets come alive. Subscribe to 3 a.m. Files. Hit the bell. Because the truth doesn't announce itself quietly. Has to be dug for. And we dig together. Ashley Flynn's story is not over. Not as long as her daughters are growing up in a world that owes them justice. And not as long as we keep watching, asking, and refusing to look away.